So once again, thank you for coming together today and for your time to share some of the feedback, right? Because I think we in the past we've had trauma education and therapy, and that has been pretty much the only ways, and support groups, of course. Trauma education, therapists, and support groups. Those have been like our three planks. And what we're trying to do on Thriving Adoptees is healing education and sharing healing perspectives. And now I'm trying to, well, not trying to, I am pulling together the stuff that I've learned from the conversations with you guys and all the other adoptees for the podcast, the feedback that you give me from the questionnaires and my own stuff, and bring that all into a healing framework, which starts off with like the holistic bit, then breaks into the 5 sections, and then ends up with a holistic bit summary at the end. So today we're just looking at this first section, this psychological healing. So I set out a brief, but I really just want to lay it open to you to share anything that you'd like to share. Anna, would you like to go? Because Jude, this is the second one of these I've done today. So Jude was in the first one. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, Anna, if you could start and
Sure.
Go as big or as detailed as you like, wherever you want to start.
For me, psychological healing means that I can get my emotional needs met behind my emotions. But it also means that I get sorting out, what is a strong internalized inner critic, and how does that voice sound, and how can you get rid of it? But as a transracial adoptee, I'm also thinking about internalized racism, which becomes a really big issue for identity formation and self-respect and self-esteem and sexual self-esteem as well, if I if I can pitch the sexual health a little more. Because all of those things is daily affecting my idea of my self-worth. So if I constantly hear a strong inner critic, slashing me down, and I walk around with shame about myself, about my body, about not, whatever it is, then that will in all ways and in all contexts affect me in a negative way. But it's also very strongly connected to the context or the society at that time, because the norms are also connecting with what is actually accepted to do or not to do, or think about things, as well as which is the psychological treatment or treatment method that is used in that time, and so on. So for me, it's linked to everything. But the short answer would be that I get my emotional needs met, and not just put words on my emotions, because that's not really taking us anywhere. Then I'm stuck with the anxiety or the grief or the pain, and people, therapists are like, we need to hold the space for what we're feeling. It's like, okay, yeah, but then like, can we just translate it so that we can actually do something? Because then we will be self-independent, and then we can make it. But if we just supposed to sit with what we are feeling, that's not giving any answers. So yeah, I think that's a short and a long answer to that question.
Linda, would you like to go next, please?
Absolutely. I love everything you said, Anna, and mine's not going to be too, I'm sorry, what did you say?
I just did a high five,
Oh, high five.
High five
maybe I mispronounced your name.
No, it was just like a small one. Sorry.
High five. And I resonate with all of that. And I feel that I'm trying to get to know all my parts. And until I have to be reflective to do that. And I have to give it each one time and patience and love and grace. And until I can meet all those parts and we can have this powwow to decide where is it we want to go next? Who do we want to be? What do we want to discard? And for me, it's all that false stuff, false self stuff. And I'm identifying what's my core self versus my false self. And that, when you brought up the inner critic, or if you want to talk about, what's it called? Your super ego, same thing, right? It's just, a lot of people think that that's themselves talking to themselves, when really it's your conditioning and it's your parental inner critic talking to you, and you just, where they left off, you just continued. So I'm trying to put an end to that, because I've just had my family pass away, and I want to disconnect all the control they have over me and say, this is who I am now, because I'm choosing to do that. My healing, or my expansion, is what I like to call it, more of I'm expanding, and I have the ability to do that because I have freedom and I have choice. So for me, if I continue to do that, then I'm just healing more and more all the time, and I'll never be completely healed, but it sure is fun trying, and I know I'm on the right track.
Yes. Can I just a detail on what you just said? Because for me, that's so much about the body. It's not so much only about, how can we disconnect that voice, or how can we, whatever we're doing, cognitive, blah, blah, blah. But it's also so much because I studied dance and movement therapy and somatic sexology. So for me, I do that in movement with my clients. So we can walk in the room in different settings, or we can, use different energy to do different things, and just see, who is this now? What is happening? And then when we do that, I can mirror that person back, so that you feel seen and heard in your body. And we don't need to, blah, 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 blah about everything, because majority of us doesn't have words for what we are feeling or what we're carrying around anyway. So it's the same. Like, I think we're talking, or we're doing the same thing, just that we're using different words. So I just wanted to add the somatic perspective on that one.
Yes, definitely.
Jude, would you like to jump in?
Sure. You guys see me nodding because I'm like, yes, 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 hitting on so many wonderful things. And I was writing down my thoughts. I think for me, it has been working on identity and selfhood. And in that, stepping into agency, making those choices and sovereignty, and the embodiment. So for me, like I have delved into a lot of shadow work, and it had, right, like, so that's getting to know those pieces that I tend to hide, like those parts of me, and befriending them. And we go through like this integration process, right? The body and the mind are not separate. The mind is throughout the body and nervous system. I learned that through my massage work, right? Like, and the embodiment piece, right? Like, so we're taking the unconscious, what's unconscious in us, but alive and driving often, and making it conscious. And once we have that awareness and we can give it words, we can move it with the body, we can change it, and really we go from an awareness, and I'm getting all chilled up, to an embodiment, right? Like, we have to process, integrate, metabolize that, digest it, so that it's a part of, I call it truth in my bones. I own it, and now it's a part of who I am, and I'm more whole, right? That piece now is no longer relegated to some back dark corner. I can understand it and have love for it, and it's a piece of me. So, and in that process, right, we're facing narratives and limiting beliefs, these old narratives that we got from our parents or society. So I think there's so many layers, and and so many tools available. So I think helping give people toolboxes that feel safe and resonant with them is really important. And helping them with language, even that maps them a way out, or a way toward expansion, as Linda said. I really like that.
I'm wondering now if the this 5-section framework is quite the right way to do it.
But name them. Can you name the 5? You just
Yeah.
because
Psychological, emotional, biological, relational, and spiritual.
I like it for this reason. It's an umbrella, like, and so I would offer, like, it's how you put it together, it's how you present it, right? Because we are this whole being, and those are like the headings of each little area that make up, like, they're and like they're Linda and Anna are saying one influences and impacts the other. So we could work through movement, right? And it's going to impact something, and we can change a belief when it's going to change something in our body. So those are
exactly.
my thoughts.
And this is the best point. This is like, because I would make, well, I don't, for me, there is so many perspectives we could choose, but I was thinking like you is saying that it's an umbrella, and however the importance is to choose which are the, where does the rain fall over that umbrella, so that it's understandable for who is reading or for who is receiving the information. But it's all connected, no matter how we do it or how we're not doing it. And it's always about transforming and moving information like that between the different levels of consciousness. If we call it shadow, or if we call it like it's different theories, different whatever. But in the dance and movement therapy, we are talking about the 3 levels of consciousness. And to get that, that's that transformation or that movement going, which is a movement in the body, then we need the symbolic part, which could be drawing or which could be looking at pictures. We need the movement, so we need the embodiment part. And we also need, I almost don't even remember what the third one is right now. Well, the mind thinking. And then when you realize how it works, then you don't need to start in that direction. You know that you can start wherever or whoever is where, because it's all about the process. And this is the same with your umbrella, Simon.
Linda?
Or did you want me to chime in?
I thought you were nodding along, and I thought you had a
yeah,
continuation
absolutely.
of
It's
what
the
Anna was saying.
relationship of everything. I mean, if you break it down to the simplest of units of atoms and neutrons, and everything on this earth and universe is about relationship, of how one affects the other. And I do agree that the umbrella is great because it gives us a way to explain it. Not that that's the way that it works in reality, but it is a way to learn it and to understand it. So I think that's important. But just like what we're trying to tell our medical doctors, that you can't just deal with the medical model. You have to incorporate of, well, what kind of food are you eating? What is your diet, or what is your habits of sleeping, and what's your stress level? And so often they're not willing to bring in all the other factors about looking at someone holistically and what's really going on in their lives. They're just looking at the disease or how to cure the cold, or, you know what I'm saying? But I think we're all on the same page of understanding that it's all connected. Everything in this universe is connected.
Yeah, we are. Right. Yeah, so it's like they're little, it doesn't matter which doorway or access point they go in.
Yeah, it'll all lead to the same place and understandings.
Yeah, and I'm thinking the same, because sexual health or our sexual identities, it's also exactly about this. It's about relationships, it's about attraction, it's about the mirroring in other people, it's about the norms, it's about how we feel, it's about how we think. Like it's, it's also about all of these things. So for me, it's always connected, no matter what kind of challenge we are trying to address or what kind of title we want to put something on. I don't know, I'm just confirming.
Right. And the greatest relationship is with ourselves, like even with our body, we're building a dynamic rapport of trust within ourselves. And as we have that trust, like even with my body, I'm working with my body. I'm working with my organs because I really don't have a relationship with my organs, not much. And I'm trying to, because my gut is slow, sluggish, you know, well, of course, right? The seat of emotions, it's held a lot of grief. And it's like, it's got to trust me. I need to learn to listen to it. Right. So it
Yeah, and the
really
gut feeling.
relationship. Yeah, my gut feelings, my intuition is there, right?
Yes.
So it's so much for us to like, even on that like cellular level, to be listening, to be in
Mhm.
relationship with ourselves, and it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
And I would just offer also that if you do a writing assignment and you ask a body part that has something to tell you, and you just start free flowing as if you were your gut or if you were your nose or whatever it is, they may have something to tell you. And you may, if you start free flowing and not judging what's going on the paper, it's a scientific fact that when you have a pen in hand or a pencil and you're writing on paper versus even just typing on your laptop, it anchors and there's a lot more healing that happens pen to paper. And if you let that body part talk, I bet you get to know it a lot faster. What do you think?
Oh,
Sounds
I am in love with that. I'm like, yes, because I did Artist Way and I do like a morning pages, you
yes,
know.
yeah, very
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
similar.
So I'll offer this just because you guys are on this page. Like, if you're ever wanting to connect with your inner child, you can ask it a question right with your non-dominant hand, which for me is my left hand. And it was amazing when I did that because it looks like child's handwriting, right? Because yeah, I love that. I wrote that down. I'm going to do that practice. Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I did both of them. And I also, when I have coaching clients or therapy clients, I write them handwritten letters with the summaries. And I don't send them to them, but I scan them. So, but they actually get like a handwritten letter
Yeah.
after every week's session. And I ask them to do the same. If they want to write something back, then they are free to write something back. And then as a next step, I ask them to write with their left hand. And I ask questions in writing to their inner child. And they, well, not, it's not the second session. It's more like the eighth
Yeah.
one when you have all of this. But then we do that. So we can be pen pals, our inner childs, which is amazing because it's so
Do you
special.
find,
And then, yes, because
is it really,
I find mine as well. And then when I get a letter, I'm like, I get really
Epiphanies.
happy.
Epiphanies
Because
happen all over the
it's-
place. Boom, boom.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, that
exactly.
sounds so potent.
Yeah, and it's so fun. So yeah, I do that as well.
Can I just dive in? Linda, you said you used a word that you preferred to healing. What was the word that you preferred?
I think I said expansion.
Expansion, yeah.
Yeah.
So what other words do we like or prefer or kind of equate with healing? What other words? Expansion.
Transformation.
Sorry?
Growth.
Transformation.
Transformation, yeah.
Yeah, growth, transformation. I'll say I'm resolving my trauma, like that part, right? Like I resolve it
Mhm.
little bits at a time. Yeah.
Befriending. I like the idea of, I don't think I'll ever get rid of my trauma, but I do, I'm an adult and I can manage it now. And so I like to think of it as befriending it. Because if I always just say, I hate that part of me, it's back to parts work, right? You can't
Mhm.
hate a part of yourself. It won't work. That part will just get louder. So you treat it with love and grace and you give it repair and comfort and to help resolve. So that little part of you doesn't show up when you go to the grocery store and you get pissed off at the counter, the clerk, and you act more as your adult, capital S self, instead of your little 5-year-old that wants to scream or, do whatever.
Yes.
So we've got
Uh,
growing, expanding, resolving, befriending. Integrating.
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 Is that like a therapeutical word? Because every time I use integrating, and I love that word, people say, what do you mean? So is that like a word that we understand because we're working with it? Or is it just like me that has a bad luck when I use it?
I do think have seen wrinkled, like when I say it, but it's like because I actually do it, I know what it means.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, probably that's the thing. Yeah, okay. Because I'm trying to describe what I do sometimes, and then I use that word, like to integrate your different parts, or to, put the body to the center, or these things. And everybody's like, what do you mean with integration?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
My
we
new
do
word
this.
is metabolizing,
Metabolize.
right? We're digesting, metabolizing. Our body is
Ah.
metabolizing, right? And so taking the nutrients and getting rid of what it doesn't need. And yeah. And then if the nutrients become part of you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by what do you understand by integrating, Jude?
So for me, when I'm going through a spiral of growth of, I'm just trying to think of something specific, but anything, it's like it has these phases, right? Like I often I'm in a void phase, I come out of it and I'm all like, yay, I'm growing, this seed is sprouting, I'm understanding, I can see my stories and narratives, I'm discerning, I'm differentiating, and I'm building capacity for the new way of being, for a healthier ways of being. I'm exercising it, building it, and I begin to blossom. I begin to come into confidence, and then I can discern even more clearly the difference between what needs to go, and I can start practicing that, right? Like I'm no longer going to show up or changing how I show up or how I'm being, right? And then you're full in confidence, and then it's like you start shedding and releasing the old, and the lessons start coming really clear. And so as the lesson becomes clear, I'm metabolizing that, I'm integrating it so that it's no longer a truth that I know here. I know it in my body, I feel it in my body, and I'm really showing up differently. That's what I'm saying. That's the process. Is that right? And then you go into your next
exactly how
cycle.
I do it. No, but it's exactly how I do it. It's just that when I use the word integrating, people
Right,
don't actually understand what it is.
Yeah.
But for me, we put it in the body. That's what we
Put it
do.
in the
We collect all of this information, and now we're going to put it in our body. And I'm going to show you how. And we do. But yes, that's exactly what I mean as well.
Yeah.
For me, it's that I don't know if anybody's heard me do this. Like, have you all played Trivial Pursuits, the board game? Trivial Pursuits, right? So we have that little the cheese holder, right? Yeah, each person playing Trivial Pursuits has the cheese holder. So it's a circle, and then you put the 6 pieces of cheese in. So no bad parts means that everybody's playing nicely. The uppercase S self is the cheese holder, and the parts are the individual cheeses, and all of those are accepted. They're all playing nicely. None of them are falling out with each other. That's what integration kind of means to me.
Cheese, basically. No,
Cheese.
but
I give a
the cheese
visual
holder.
metaphor with the, I don't know, I came up with it listening.
yes. No, but it's smart. And I'm thinking of acceptance, which I'm also thinking when I say emotions, but emotional needs. I need to feel accepted and I need to be held. And when we can learn to do that with ourselves, like we were saying, the inner child and all of this, then yes, we can be a cheese as well.
It's accepting, each part of us is accepting the other parts of us. So all the 6 cheeses in the Trivial Pursuit game, right? One of the slight challenges I have, because I'm listening to the No Bad Parts book at the moment, Linda. So you talked about finding all the parts, right? That, for me, that could go on forever.
Mhm.
So I like the idea of just 6 parts, like, because otherwise we're going to be spiraling forever. And what I'm really loving at the moment is parts work, uppercase S self. All right, that's a concept. When I'm with my somatic experiencing woman, therapist woman, right, I experience what Richard Schwartz talks about as uppercase S self. So I've got the experience that corresponds with the language. So and that would be embodying the understanding, right? I've got something intellectual. I've heard something intellectual in a book, and now I've done it, and it's as clear as absolute day to me. And that's why it's really important that all these 5 things fit together, because otherwise you've got the 5 healing things, I mean, right? So psychological, emotional, relational, biological, and spiritual. So those 5 things sit together. So I've got a psychological thing from Richard Schwartz, uppercase S self, and biologically through the somatic work, those 2 are in harmony. Yeah. And that's the but the danger is with Richard Schwartz is I'd be looking for parts forever. It'd be too complex for me. So when you were talking about that, I was thinking, oh no, it's too much.
I think I'd probably draw a line somewhere and not, get
73
too about,
or 100.
I mean, I think I can get, generally speaking, identify. Right now,
I'm joking. I'm
what?
joking. I'm joking a little bit.
Yes, yeah. Well, I was going to say to Anna that I think what we're all saying would appeal to people that are contemplative thinkers. And so to someone that is not reflective, then the word integration is going to not mean a lot to them. And even your umbrella, Simon, they may go, why should I care about that? They don't see the relationship. I think there's a creative kind of wavelength that if you desire to see these things, you will. But if you don't have the desire, I don't know that you will see them. And that's kind of what Richard Rohr talks about, first half of life thinking versus second half of life thinking. And that's not to be even said by your chronological age. It's usually a catalyst that pushes you into second half of life thinking, and you have choices of, how do I want to show up here? Or do I want to let my self-limiting beliefs I've always believed all my life continue to just walk me down the road? Or are you going to say, no, I'm going to stop this right here and right now, and I'm going to choose a different path? And then when you integrate those things, to me, it means I'm updating all my systems, whether the 5 umbrella things, I'm updating them all to where I'm saying, this is who I want to be. And this is how I want to relate to my world. And it feels like, true self instead of false self.
Yeah, that's really good languaging.
Can I ask?
The updated.
Sorry, Jude, I cut over you.
It's okay. I just thought that was really good languaging, especially for people who are not in that like healing arena or contemplative, like Linda was saying, because I think most people can understand just like upgrades or, like coming from a new operational system.
Yeah. So one of the things that I bang on about a lot, and I've still I've not yet cracked it, is because I went from kind of business development into personal development into healing. That was my trajectory. And in the self-development world, we hear this stuff about self-limiting beliefs that Linda's mentioned all the time, right? And yet in adoptee circles, I don't hear the word beliefs a lot, other than this feeling of not being good enough, which is actually a belief, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I heard something from Gabor Mate that helped me see that a couple of weeks ago, right? So we've got this feeling that we're not enough. I think I might have just answered my own question. Why don't we hear this belief word? Because why don't we hear the belief? Why don't we hear the belief? Well, first thing is, my perception is that we don't hear the belief word much in adoptee circles. Am I off? Am I off with that? Because that's just my perception.
No, I think I don't hear that either, but I hear low self-esteem a lot, and I hear like negative life rules a lot, which for me is very similar to what we are saying now, or how I'm thinking about self-limiting beliefs, because the reaction I get by having those is the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I teach on that in my group workshop, but when I'm facilitating, I don't hear anybody talking about limiting beliefs.
Hear anyone talking about what, Jude?
Limiting beliefs, like
Limiting.
self-limiting beliefs. Yeah.
Again, I think you have to go a step more to even ask yourself, well, what does that mean? Do I have a self-limiting belief? If I do, what is it? I think these are questions a lot of people don't ask themselves.
True.
The answer I came up with myself is because we don't say, I don't believe I'm enough. We say, I don't feel I'm good enough. So the reason that beliefs aren't the belief in not feeling, the belief, I said it, and no, the belief in not being enough is talked about because it's a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
In adoptee circles, we talk more about feelings, and we say, I don't feel good enough. We don't say, I don't believe I'm good enough. And that's why we don't say, that's why beliefs are not talked about, because it's a feeling. It's a feeling.
I think that, and what I observe is, and understandably so, a lot of where I'm at right now and how I feel is because all these things that happened out here, and it takes a while to get to a place to take responsibility. Like, I heard a really good metaphor for this. Like, if someone broke into your house and ransacked it and it's destroyed, there would be a time period where it would be understandable to be upset, angry, whatever, and be like, can you believe they did this to my house? Right? But at some point, you have to take responsibility to fix your house back up. Right? And what I see, and it may just be where people are at, like in the groups that I'm facilitating, right? Like they may just newly be understanding, and so they're in a learning phase. But I see a lot of like, all this happened to me out here, and they're just not at that place of, now I'm gonna clean my house,
looking inside,
and deal with my limiting beliefs, right? Like, I think I feel this way because all this out here, and like I said, understandably so. You know.
So they're believing their feelings, and they're not taking it that step more to say, is this even true? Is this feeling true? but they believe it's true because they feel it.
Yes. Yeah,
But you
that's
have
it.
to challenge that, right? To
Mhm.
get beyond. And if you've been telling, Simon, we've talked about this so many times. If you tell yourself a broken story and you just keep, perpetuating it, it's kind of like how the adoptee narrative gets perpetuated of being the happy, beautiful unicorn story. But you have to challenge those thoughts and say, is that even a true story? It's not. And if it's
Mhm.
not a true story, then what story is more accurate? And what steps do you have to take in order to make that happen? Whether it's rewiring your brain or being an advocate to make people more aware of the full scope of what adoption is. Yeah. It's hard. And I think a lot of people don't like hard, difficult things. But in
No,
the end,
it's
would you
hard.
agree that it's more difficult to stay in that kind of non-movement, non-expansion than it is to actually go do it and then you experience joy?
Yeah, right? Because that choice is just living with your suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and because we were talking about psychological, if I just can like draw to another way to look at it or another way to describe it, it's also that when we don't have an actual perception or picture memory of something that happened, our parents or that foster home or whatever it is that we are trying to make meaning of, then we cannot integrate it because it's really hard to do that, especially if we don't know what we need. Because if we don't know what we need, we just feel all of these strong emotions, then we rather put them outside, because it's too heavy to carry them. But then, it's like a prison, or like the soul gets prisoned in the body then.
It is a
But
prison.
and then the next problem, or at least for me, when I'm thinking of me personally and professionally, the problem is that when we cannot get supported in using drawings or art or writing or movement or the body to make that meaning or to write that story, then we cannot rewrite it either. We just blah 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 about our traumas all the time, and we're not fucking doing anything about it
She's
anyway.
exactly
Because
right. Exactly
yeah,
right.
but it's sad, it's really
It
sad
is.
because
It
so
is
many
sad.
people are trying so hard and then they still end up in, the same narrative gets repeated because they cannot change it because they are keep talking on it in the same way, and the professionals are saying the same things too. But you should be happy. Like, but look at you, what's so good? Like, yeah, fuck you, but okay.
An idea. I've
Yes,
got an
Simon.
idea. Got an idea. So the idea is to take what is a very dry multi-section document and actually make it into a workbook or an activity book. Let's call it an activity book, right? Because workbook sounds like work. So what about making it into an activity book, and then we could have all the left hand writing, we could have all the questions to ask ourselves, we could have
I have a lot of examples that is not only
we're not going to turn it
sex.
into the Kama
No, I
Sutra,
was
okay?
no 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 no
It's
no
going
no
to be
no no
the
no no no
Kama
no.
Sutra.
That's not what we're doing. But maybe
You're
yoga,
you're
the
railroading us with the
positions.
sex stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but sexual health is also universal human
Important.
rights, So, and it's connected
Yes.
with our relationships, but it could
Well,
be the yoga positions that connect us with the inner child, the movements of the small baby, so that we can connect with ourselves, with us giving ourselves that, for example.
yeah.
So there's a lot of things we can do that would make sense. It do make sense to talk about sexual health in the relationship part, though. Not necessarily to say, this is how you do it, because nobody cares how you do it anyway. That's not the point. But like, how can you know that this is the right choice? How do you know if it's actually a good idea to do this with this person? What questions can you ask yourself before you enter a situation? And
Like, what's your
how do you
motivation?
deal with shame and guilt and value? Like those things, because that's connecting
It
with relationships
shows
and
up.
section.
I always
It all
say
boils down to what's your motivation.
sex starts in the kitchen, right?
If it's clean, hello, only
Well,
if
I
it's
don't mean
clean.
like that, but sex starts in the kitchen, meaning because everything in the relationship shows up in the bedroom.
Yes.
Everything.
If you're not
If
going
you
to have
don't have
sex in the
something right,
kitchen.
At this point, I'd like to ask: are you all okay with us sharing this video?
Yeah, I'm a sexologist. I'm
Yeah.
behaving pretty nicely now. You just wanted to say that.
You did say a curse word though.
I did, but it's only like 2 times. Wow, you should hear me when I curse, like for real.
we liked it though. We cheered her on.
We did.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
very appropriate. So thank you.
It was, you know. No, but it's also a point for me, based in my profession, I'm supposed to be the one opening up for people to be themselves. So when it comes to using curse words or talking about sexual health with jokes, I am
Right.
supposed to lead that, because you are supposed to feel that it's easy, that it's playful, that it's relaxed, that nobody's judging you. And I lead the way by showing that I'm also not judging me. I'm allowing myself to have fun, and I'm allowing myself to talk about it without making judgment, without feeling nervous, without making it a personal, whatever thing, because it's not. So there's a point with it. I'm not, totally lost. There is a point with being like this as well.
Well, it makes you
Okay.
seem authentic and real, so approachable, right?
Yes.
And then they feel safe. So I totally
Yeah.
get that.
And
Regardless
this
of the
is how
topic,
I am. No,
regardless
and this
of
is how I
whatever the
am.
topic is, right? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, and
So,
this is how I am in general as well.
ladies, we're at 12 minutes past the hour.
Oh,
Okay.
And
That's fun.
I need to go in the kitchen in 3 minutes and eat my dinner, or talk to my wife before. So would you like to share any closing thoughts? Anna, you're on the screen at the moment, so you can go first.
well, I just want to say thank you. I
Yeah.
thought it was so nice having this conversation with people that are, immediately going in the same direction. And so interesting to hear all the different perspectives, because we do talk about the same thing all the time. But now I get, more understanding for other perspectives as well. And it makes me excited to see how easy we can integrate this. So I'm happy. Thank you.
I would just springboard off of what Anna just said, that and we didn't even concentrate on adoptee only, which I love, because again, you can't separate just our adoptee-ness. It's the intersectionality of all of our lives and everything we do. So it's really a rare find to get a group like this where the reciprocity was just flowing. The energy was really good. So I thank everyone for the time.
Yeah. I'm like feeling a little bit high over here. Like, yeah, this was great. It was fun and light, but we were talking about really serious things, and it was passionate. I just see everybody's passion to help others and to bring more wholeness to the world, right? So people can step into their authentic self and enjoy it, enjoy the life they're living as a, right? We're here to enjoy this life we're living and to feel like it's purposeful and meaningful. And so, yeah, I feel like you guys are amazing, fun, helping people for others in those journeys.
Yeah.
So thank you.
I thought you were all having too much fun.
I think we may
I'm
have
sorry.
out-talked you today, Simon. Isn't that crazy?
What can I say? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.
And, we'll
Thank you,
regroup and yeah, we'll see you next time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's lovely meeting. Thank
lovely
you.
weekend. Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Bye.